call it. So you can just jump right in here in a second. Offensive team yards per rush attempt. Let's talk about the running game now, okay? So this is basically how many yards per carry we had in the running game. But keep in mind, this is running backs. It also includes jet sweeps, things of that nature, quarterback scrambles, all that. But nonetheless, the Packers finished 7th in the league, 4.7 yards per carry. That was up from 4.4 the previous year, right? So Josh Jacobs having a big impact last year in the running game. We were top with San Francisco. And again, at the top of the list, you got Baltimore, Arizona, Tampa Bay, Philadelphia, Detroit, Washington, San Fran, and then us. So we were literally just, 0.3 of a yard per carry when it comes to trying to match up with Philly. That shows you how effective the running game was. Now, when you look at the last game, Philly did a pretty good job of slowing us down, reducing that down to 4.3 yards per carry. I want you to key in on something. I know we're covering the offense right now, but let's talk defense for just a second. Philadelphia averaged 5 yards a carry all year long. That playoff game against us, they only averaged 3 yards a carry. Jeff Hafley put some spec on his name. The defense showed up. It was the offense that didn't show up in that game. But, Emilio, what do you think about that, man? Rushing yards per attempt, anything you want to add there, man? Finishing 7th in the league.
Like that we're top 10. You got to keep a balanced offense to really help. I think a couple of those games early with Malik probably helped some of those numbers. And, I like that we've gone up from last year at the 4.4. But I think it's something we just need to do to kind of close out games. You see who's in the top 5 there. Baltimore's mean. Arizona is hit or miss. Tampa Bay's, always kind of tough for us. Philly and Detroit, right? So I think we're right there. I do think we need to keep to it. Josh Jacobs always on the grind. I love his mentality. And, it's like we're tied for 7th, so it's a 3-way tie there right around San Fran. I'm not mad at it. Really just don't want to see it go down next year.
Yeah, and Detroit got all kinds of love last year, Jacob. Reality is we were 1/10 of a yard per carry behind them. So these people that think Detroit's running game, some Packer fans think that Detroit's running game is so much better than the Packers, they're living in la la land.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. Baltimore, obviously everybody knows what's going on there. Arizona, Connor is one of the most underrated running backs I think that's ever been in the league. Like, no one gives that dude credit, but he just year in and year out just gets his lunch bill and he's like, all right, I'll just get 1,300 yards quietly, and I think that Josh Jacobs is, I don't want to say he's on the level where like people need to start thinking him as a top 3 guy. If he does it again this year, I think that definitely is deserved, because boy, I tell you what, man, some of the way he was an aggressive runner. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like some of the runs, some of the highlights, I even look back and I'm like, damn, like the dude.
When he called the dude up to him, like,
yeah. When he was going to the sideline, he's like, no. How about you come?
You
a little kiss.
Come here.
Yeah.
I need you right here, buddy. And just ran through his face. I love it. Yep. All right, let's go to rushing yards per game. Green Bay finishes 6th there with 144.6 rushing yards per game. Again, loved Aaron Jones, but look at the year before. Only 114.9 rushing yards per game, right? Mm-hmm. So you could see how the Packers continue to get better at running the football here. And what did they do schematically? They switched into a little more duo look, right? That they ran a lot more duo than they typically did. I remember when we signed Josh Jacobs, everybody's going, hey, man, what's going to be the deal here? Are we going to cut down on wide zone? Yes, we cut down on wide zone tremendously. We go into inside zone and duo looks. And then all of a sudden, a little bit more RPO. And then we look up this year, and you added 2 330-plus pound offensive linemen to the mix as well. I think they're going to really press into double-double up front. So, again, rushing yards per game. Really, really nice number there, 144.6. And listen, the reality, too, is, Jacob, this wasn't just Josh Jacobs. This is also Emmanuel Wilson contributing big time, Yep.
So 100%. And that's where I'm a little bit nervous as to what's going to happen in the running back room, because I absolutely loved what our backups did. Even Chris Brooks, you know what I mean? Like, absolutely did not expect to have some of the production and the confidence that obviously the coaching staff had in that guy. And we looked at his receiving. Remember he was like 100% on balls being caught out of the backfield kind of thing. Like, how do you take him off the field? Like, I want to see Marshawn Lloyd a lot. Like, I am almost giddy thinking about what he could do, but it's like, to take away snaps from some of those dudes that actually proved that they, like you said, man, that 144, don't get me wrong, Jacobs was a beast, but he didn't do it all by himself.
Definitely.
Absolutely. And just kind of looking at some of those numbers there, looking at the last 3 games, Baltimore kept it up to 231 yards, Philly at 216,
Wow.
Detroit at 177, Washington at 121. You kind of see a dip there. And then you have Tampa Bay at 160, Packers at 131, under our average. And then Arizona, Indy, and Buffalo all above their average there. I think that's just kind of looking at the playoffs. Like if you're getting yourself behind and you have to turn to the pass game, I think that's something that you got to kind of keep an eye out for. Obviously, one of those, probably the end of the season, but still, seeing how Philly was still able to keep, 216 average in their last 3 games. Those are all playoff games. So that's something that we kind of need to keep in our head. We need to be able to run the ball when it gets late in the season.
Yeah. Greg Rice in the chat. I heard Jacobs
say he likes duo. Come on, Greg, get your fingers together.
It's all good, man. I'm worse than Greg. I promise you that. Says he likes duo, which I think means double team blocks because he can play games with the linebacker who is behind the D line that is being blocked. That's exactly correct. Now, when you get duo, it's basically it's double, typically 2 double teams, vertical displacement, and those backers. They not only do they have to read the running back in those late cuts, but they've also got to read the blockers. When they see a double team, they got to go, which one's peeling off on me, right? And if they find themselves washed out of the play, what Jacobs is talking about in that interview, I think it was might have been with Bussin' with the Boys. I can't remember who it was.
I think that's right.
But he'll set them up. He'll know that the duo call that was put into the play call, he'll know that the left guard's pulling off that block, off that double team, getting to the next level. So he may do a jab step right inside, set the backer up to take a half a step in, cut off the hip pocket, the outside hip pocket of the guard. And that's where you get him running down the sideline going, come here, I want you right here.
Yeah. So. And isn't that what's more impressive about Edgerrin Cooper? That he can do that. He bypasses what running backs trying to give him that bull crap. You know what I mean?
And he pisses his own coaches off. Like, you're not supposed to be there. Don't matter. I'm going to get there.
Got you, Coach. I'll be there.
Yeah. That's a great point, Jay. A great point. Because, as and it's how offensive coaches look at it. Like, as you're going through and watching the tape on your own players, you're also looking at your defense on your tape with your team going, all right, what do we do well and how do we play off of that? That's why it's important to have great players on both sides of the ball, just from a practice standpoint. We talked about Charles Woodson back in the day covering the receivers, right? And then you get Devontae Adams bursts onto the scene, and Jair comes in as a young corner. He's got to cover Adams in practice, right? And then once Adams is gone, now guess what happens? You got Christian Watson, these young receivers coming up, and they're having to be covered by Jair Alexander in practice, right? I remember Romeo Dobbs and him facing off that one camp. So that stuff's important, man. Iron sharpens iron. There's no 2 ways about it. All right, moving along. Offensive team yards per pass attempt. Let's get into the passing game here, boys. As bad as this passing game supposedly was, we were 4th in the entire National Football League in yards per pass attempt at 8.1 yards per pass attempt. That means every time you drop back and threw a pass, you averaged 8 yards gained, is what that means. The previous year, 7.4 yards per pass attempt. Again, it doesn't mean you got at least 8 yards every pass attempt. It means out in the wash, right? Including the incomplete passes, including the short passes and the long passes, you averaged 8.1 yards per pass attempt. 4th best in the league, Emilio, behind Baltimore number 1, Detroit 2, San Francisco 3, and then Green Bay 4. I want to say this too. The people that consider Brock Purdy a check down Charlie, it's not true, guys. It's not true. Yeah. He also had, I think, the highest. He was in the top 5 in passer rating when throwing the ball of yards, 20 air yards or more. So Brock Purdy can hum that tater down the field, but nonetheless, man, even with Green Bay having a down year here, Emilio, 8.1 yards per pass attempts also.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, climbing up from that 7.4 last year, looking at 2023 with the 22 on the scale right here, there was only 2 teams that were in the top 5 2 teams above 8.0 yards per pass attempt. Then you got Green Bay over here at 8.1, jumping up 6.6 points from last year. I think that's huge. Looking at the last 3 again, I think we struggle a little bit. Yeah. We're not getting up to our average. That's where I think same with our run game. I think that offense kind of just took it, overall kind of just took a dip as you're looking at these numbers. Though I think that we did, we were real consistent. We were turning it up when we're away from Green Bay, which is, huge because we were on the on the road in the playoffs. So that's something, if you can keep that going into next year, that'd be huge. But like I said, don't drop down below 5. Definitely don't drop below 10 this next year. And somehow Baltimore is still a dog way up there, and I just don't know how they didn't get further. They got to get over the KC hump.
They got the yips, bro. They get in those playoffs. They get the yips. I'm telling you.
Crazy with 230 yards per carry, and then you're leading in offensive pass yards per game. I mean, you got Derrick Henry. I don't know what else you can do.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that, Jacob? Then I'll answer this question here in the chat.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just, again, we're up there with that's if we were to do that, if we were consistently in the top 5 of offensive team yards per pass attempt, each year, I would argue that we'd, be in contention for winning the bowl every year. It's a tough thing to do consistently. And then like Emilio said, I mean, you look at those last 3 and that last one, there is no other team even in that bracket anywhere near us that took a poopy that big. You know what I mean? It just is. We went from, almost averaging 8 per play or over 8 to then 6 and then 6-4. It's just, you can't expect that the team is going to go, and you got to turn it on when it matters. You got to have your piss has got to be hot, to quote Matt. It's got to be hot, and it just wasn't.
Definitely. Greg Rice asked in the chat, what was our typical run before? Was it zone blocking? So not everyone, but many, the vast majority of people consider duo a zone blocking play. Okay. So zone blocking is, it covers a very broad spectrum, right? Now, if you're asking what changed, we pressed into duo a little bit more. Before that, you ran a lot more. Now, the year before, we still ran a significant amount of duo, but in my opinion, you ran a lot more pin and pull the year before. Before that, you got a lot of more outside zone runs put in. So what you seen was RPO game attached to a little duo look, right? And then you started to press into the wide zone boot a little bit, coming out of the McCarthy scheme, like maybe a year or 2 outside of it.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, duo emerged, because I remember reading about it in Bobby Peters' book. Like, man, they're really, really starting to press into duo more. And then you go from duo to a little more pin and pull / duo. And then last year, you really pressed into duo. It doesn't mean you didn't run inside zone. Doesn't mean you didn't run outside zone. Doesn't mean you didn't run pin and pull. And we've seen some power plays as well. We've seen some counter runs. He's got everything in the arsenal, he being Matt LaFleur. But, yeah, before, to me, it seems like what did we replace with duo? I think you replaced outside zone a little bit more with duo. So that makes sense. And it fits Josh Jacobs' play style. Go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, sorry. Is it a fair summarization to say that zone blocking is blocking towards an area and that duo is more picking out a specific player or players that you want to target when you head that way? Does that make sense?
There's some people that see duo as a gap scheme, which is, hey, here's your gap. Here's where you now. Other people say no. It's a zone scheme. With zone, like when you got a gap scheme, you come in, you set the blocking scheme at the line of scrimmage, and everybody knows which hat they're going after. I got that dude. I got that dude. I got that dude. Right now, there's some stuff that might shift, and you got to be flexible and be able to adjust on the fly. But everybody's kind of got their assignment. With zone blocking, you're blocking to an area. The whole line is blocking to an area. Inside zone, it's not as prevalent, right? Because it's not as noticeable because you're not moving much space. But what you're doing with zone is you're allowing the defense to wash themselves out of the play. If you're blocking to a zone and they run a game and that guy runs himself out of the play, in a gap scheme, you would still try to block down on him. But in a zone scheme, go ahead, knucklehead, get your ass out of here. We'll run right by you. And you get to the next level and peel off and continue to.
And I think keeping zone alive in your offense is huge too, because that's where you can get that real drawn out naked bootleg. You can really draw out the play action a lot easier on a zone run than if you're trying to set up a duo and get that whole line over there. It really does sell it.
Yeah. Greg Rice asks, can you explain pin and pull? I don't have the telestrator up right now. Obviously, if we did, it'd be a little bit easier to explain it. But pin and pull, typically the way that works is you've got one side of the line that's going to pin down, and then they're going to pull off the hip pocket of that. Okay, so you're pinning and pulling is why they call it that. And what will happen is when they see the offensive line move in a direction, you think zone left. but then you're pulling off of it and you're actually countering off of it. That's what you call pin and pull. And there's a multitude of variations of pin and pull as well. That's what pin and pull is typically. And here's the thing. If the running back finds himself in a compromised situation where the hat count isn't there, maybe the quarterback didn't get him in or out of the right play, successfully, and he notices they got a +2 hat over here and the play's designed to go there. Well, most of the line's blocking that direction anyway. Just stick to the zone side, right? And not even worry about the pins. There's a little bit of freedom there, especially with Josh Jacobs, who's very patient. He's just a little chop step in the backfield, read it, jab step, set the linebacker up, and then come out the other side and look to hit a safety in the mouth.
Can I ask what could be a dumb question?
No, go ahead, man.
Typically, if I understand correctly, that usually when you have any sort of pulling guards or pulling offensive linemen in general, it's going to be on a run play. Are there ever situations where you would pull protection on a pass play just to disguise? I love this question.
It's funny, man. When you ask a question like that, the memory bank goes.
Josh Myers.
This game right here. This play right here.
I remember kind of seeing it, but I don't quite understand it.
I'll give you a perfect example of it. Dallas Cowboys Stadium, playoffs, Packers trying to go down the field. Remember the play where Aaron Rodgers rolled left and hit Jared Cook on the sideline? Yep. Was it Jared Cook? Am I thinking?
Jared Cook. Yep.
Yeah. Watch that play. If you'll watch it, the guard bounces out or bounces in. David Bakhtiari actually pulls around as a personal protector for Aaron. So Aaron takes the snap, rolls across his right shoulder out to his left, and he's got David Bakhtiari out there protecting him. They actually pulled the tackle to personally protect for Aaron to get him on the edge, and only Aaron has the arm to make that obscene freaking throw to Jared Cook, man. People, you look at that, and it doesn't look like it's a far throw, and then when you break it down, it's like 30 yards in the air or something crazy. It's like, how did he even – anyway, that's why they talk about him being the generational talent that he was, possibly still is. But, yeah, so to answer your question, Jacob, they're rare. They're extremely rare because if that offensive lineman pulls and he gets in front of the line,
it's a scenario-specific kind of play, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
And in the game, like, we got
that, or unless you want, 3 yards maybe, and you're looking for like a sprint out right, and you just want the tackle on that right, you catch it off the shotgun snap, and you just start rolling right away, do a quick little out route, little whip route, something like that.
You'll see it too. Like when I hear pull, I only consider a pull if an offensive lineman moves at least one gap over, right? Bypasses another offensive lineman. But you'll have moving pockets as well, like a sprint right option play, which is famous throughout the history of the passing game in the NFL. The whole offensive line will kind of move in the direction with the quarterback, right? Or maybe 3 or 4 of the offensive line will. So good questions, though, man. That's good. Good chalk talk there. All right, next, offensive team passing yards per game. We finished 14th. Now, why do I highlight this? This is why this is very, very important. Again, why is that number down to where we're ranked 14th at 222 passing yards per game, but our yards per pass attempt is 4th? That's the more important statistic, right? Because, again, if we're pressing into the run, the yards per game is going to be down. This is showing you the true efficiency, the effectiveness of the passing game in yards per pass attempt. It's another example, just like points per play, yards per pass attempt is more important than yards per passing yards per game, if that makes sense. So Green Bay finishes 14th at 222.1. And again, why did that number go down significantly from 233.4 the previous year? 3 injuries with Jordan Love and them truly trying to press into the running game and lean on Josh Jacobs.
Yep.
So that's the way I see that. And to me, that's not a red flag there. If this number had been outside of the top 10 passing yards, per pass attempt, I'd be like, all right, boys, we got some trouble here. But the fact that that's 4th and this is 14th, that just washes out to me. As Baby Billy said, it's a wash. And why do you do it, Baby Billy? Because I'm selfless. Some of you guys got that. If you haven't watched that show, you need to go watch it. I don't know the name.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
I don't know the name of it, but it's hilarious. So, Baby Billy, somebody in the chat, I know you know what I'm talking about. What's the name of that show with Baby Billy on it? Offense team completion percentage, we finished 21st. Me no like you this, Emilio. Me no like you this at all. That is the accuracy issues, right? That's what we talked about with Jordan Love being off the mark last year. Now, could it be the injuries? I mean, when you're seeing him hobbling and hopping around the first quarter of the season, and he can't drive those throws, No one's going to convince me it didn't play a role in his accuracy or lack thereof. But completion percentage finished in 21st at 64.06. Got to get better than that. Got to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and honestly, I think I'm more just, would like that completion percentage to go up rather than the yards per game. Just real quick, scrolling back up to that, Clay. I mean, we were only 10 yards off of being top 7. I mean, if we were, we're 14, we're 14 at 222. We had 10, 11 more yards, we would have been tied for 7 with Baltimore, Minnesota at, 233. So it's not like we're that far off. I think, again, right around that sweet spot of 10 and under would be nice, but I'm not mad at that 14. But, yeah, absolutely, that completion percentage sitting at 21st, that's kind of brutal. We do need to sharpen that up. I think that's on everybody, O-line, QB and wide receivers. So
yeah. United Bates comes in with the name of the show, The Righteous Gemstones. Listen, probably don't want the kids watching it, but you'll get a good pop out of that show, man. It's pretty funny. Baby Billy, just remember that name, Baby Billy.
Is that Danny McBride? Is he in that?
I'm horrible with actors' names. I'm trying to think of what else he was in. We need to pull up a picture of him. Talk about this for a second. I'll pull up a picture of him. We're doing 2 hours now. It's a 40-minute show. So
I dove through it, Jacob. It is Danny McBride.
Okay. I love that guy. I absolutely love him. If you haven't watched Kenny Powers, I tell you what, that's my spirit animal. If I had to choose a person, that would be my spirit. I think that's Clayton in another life, Kenny Powers. If Mandy never married Clayton,
right,
become Kenny Powers.
That explains it completely.
Mandy saved him.
Yep. There you
Let's
go.
see if I can get this picture up here real quick of Baby Billy. You just need to see it. It won't take a second, I promise. There's Baby Billy.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Walt, isn't that guy's name?
My scientists.
Walter
on my lab coats.
Yeah,
Goggins, right?
Walton Goggins. Yeah,
Goggins. Man, I love that guy.
He was awesome in Fallout too as the ghoul.
Yo, he was awesome in Justified. You ever seen Justified with Timothy Olyphant?
That's about my hometown there, boys.
It's Ketchum County or
Harlan County.
Harlan. Yeah.
So when you watch that opening scene and they show this small coal mine in town that they're filming through and it's playing the music, you see that little smokestack. That's about a mile from my childhood home. That's where my dad still lives. Still. So
all right, now we understand.
Harlan County. So offensive team quarterback sack percentage. This is the other thing. I don't want to tell people how to fan, and I know people speak out of their ass about topics they don't understand. I do it all the time about things I don't understand. I just watch enough football that I'm usually pretty on base with my football takes. Usually, not perfect, promise you that. But when you hear people online, they'll go, well, if he had an offensive line blocking for him, talking about Jordan Love, like, boys, you got one of the better pass blocking offensive lines in the entire league. Okay. He was sacked the third fewest last year at 4.48% offensive team quarterback sack percentage. Now, Josh Myers, not good. He's gone, right? If Aaron Banks lives up to the contract that they signed him to, and you improved on pass blocking by moving Elton Jenkins to center if he stays out of the gentleman's club, and you got Aaron Banks at left guard, you know what I'm saying? If Jordan Morgan's healthy and he takes a step forward, you're going to be able to stabilize a top 3 pass blocking offensive line here. It's absolutely huge for this passing game. So you can't blame the offensive line. That's the moral of the story when it comes to the struggles, the few struggles we had in the passing game last year. So any thoughts on that, gents?
I mean, I would just, again, if we have a healthy Jordan Love, I think that this metric even goes. It's crazy to me that we're third with a guy that had 3 major injuries that absolutely halted his mobility in the pocket. Am I crazy, Emilio, or do you think that like you could see this metric improve quite drastically? And you look at what the opposite. We don't even see Caleb Williams on this chart, man. That dude is down in the booty cellar. You can't even find him. He's down there painting his nails wherever he's at.
That's the other thing. Let's see. I'm glad you brought that up, Emilio. I'll turn it over to you. We'll come back to it. We were at sacks, right?
Yep.
I didn't even focus on Chicago. Did they make this list anyway? Yards per pass attempt? Isn't that funny? I thought he had a hell of a year last year as a rookie.
He was real good at protecting the ball, a.k.a. not giving it to either the offense or the defense.
Yards per pass attempt, he was outside of the top 24 somewhere. And he did not make the list in passing yards per game either. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny how it's just Emilio, it's a statistical anomaly, is all it is, right?
He's down. He's down there, bro. He's in the well. He's in that Silence of the Lambs well.
Mm-hmm.
Put some lotion on his skin.
You got anything to add on the sack percentage yourself?
Yeah, no, I think Jacob brought up a good point there. You know, who's number one? It's Buffalo, Josh Allen. He's able to get away, moves his feet, gets upfield with the ball in his hand. I think that's huge. Though we're third, I'm not mad at it at all. Again, looking at that last three, though, 8.33%. That's like Carolina, you know, Kansas City numbers. Kansas City, the last three games, they were 11.7, and they were 15.79 against Philly, looks like. So, I mean, that's, you know, under duress. That's where it's going to get you. I'm glad that our last one, we weren't crazy, you know, 5.7, a little bit above average. But yeah, that's I think you kind of really see as you're looking at it, this last three numbers really kind of been talking to you as you've been going through these. So our offense really started to struggle there towards the end, whatever you're considering, you know, our last three going in the playoffs, whatever it is, you know, as we were kind of going down there, that dip, I think we hung up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. All right. That's it. That's your offensive breakdown. Gents, anything else? Let's do parting thoughts before we wrap the show up. We will wrap it up after the offense. We're at a pretty good spot here. Anything you want me to scroll back up to? Jacob, did you learn anything? Did you come away? You know, I mean, what sticks out to you about what the hell is your problem?
Man,
just the way you asked that to Jacob, man. I hope he learned something. Jeez.
How are you going to come in here for the last 10 minutes of the show and talk crap? Anyway, Jacob, what sticks out to you?
I mean, I'll be honest. I did not expect us to be in the top 10, let alone top 5 in many metrics. I'll be honest. I just didn't think that we were that type of team. And I think, again, as Packer fans, we need to actually take a step back and not get so I hate saying indoctrinated in our own. It's a weird situation. The Packer fandom has turned from one of the best, and then I feel like the internet age came through, and for whatever reason, that internet just made us seem like the whiniest bunch of what's. I just want us to understand that, like, we are one of the, if not the best franchises in the league, in the history of sports. And year in and year out, for whatever reason, there's a section of the Packers fans that wants to say, hey, this team wasn't this good enough. You look at the metrics, we were freaking good, man. Yep. We were up there with the top of the top. And I think that we need to take a step back and, again, realize that, hey, most teams don't get this year in and year out. We have it consistently, and I think that may be part of the problem, that we're so freaking spoiled. We are so spoiled. We're title town, baby. And we got to start thinking about the fact that, like, it's a blessing to be where we are each and every year. I think people take Matt LaFleur for granted. I think they take Jordan Love for granted. And this year, I hope that we absolutely capitalize on everything that we're supposed to, because I think that the sky's the limit.
Yeah, all good. That's a great question here, Emilio. And you wasn't on the show when we covered this first part, so I want to get your take on it. He says we went 1-5 in the division last year. How with these metrics right here, giving the ball away, turnover differential. I'm telling you, I know you guys get tired of hearing me say it in the post-game show and throughout the whole season. Got to protect the football, got to win the turnover differential. That's what happens. If this turnover differential, right, and giveaways per game, again, we gave the ball away on average 1.3 times per game, Emilio. Yeah. If you have that under 1, you probably win 13 games last year. I mean, that's I know that seems extreme, but you probably win 2. You probably split with the Vikings. And remember the breakdown we did the other night of the most important games that we lost last year? I don't know if you guys remember that. And what was the big thing? It was interceptions. Christian Watson fumble. Josh Jacobs fumble on the opening drive. Keyshawn Nixon fumble in the opening kickoff. But that's the only thing lacking. All good. And I understand what you're saying. Like, you see 1-5 in the division. How?
Right.
The majority of those games, outside of the Philly game, they were all divisional matchups that we talked about, those tough losses. That's why we lost them, Emilio, was turning the ball over.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to pull the Patreon off the corner there, just checking Buffalo's numbers. I remember they did a thing on Josh Allen saying how he, like, specifically had to pay attention to not turning the ball over. You know, he used to hum it all over the yard, throw picks all the time, get him into these situations. 2023, he was 1.5. This past year, 0.4 turnovers, offensive turnovers a game. I mean, that was a conscious effort on his part to change that. Yep. I think that's something that we can definitely do. I think, Jay Love knows that. I think Matt knows that. I think that we can fix it. But, you really have to, strive and make those changes to better that. I mean, they literally gained an entire, they saved an entire turnover a game just by better decisions, with the ball in their hand.
Emilio, to that point, look at that top 6 teams. They all did that. They all took a step and said, no, we're not going to do this anymore. We have to protect the ball. That means it leads to more wins.
They scream that to you and modified. You turn the ball over, that's something you're hearing every single year through your entire life. That thing is precious. I mean, what they do with Petey, he fumbled the ball. You better pick the ball up and you run every one of them, Petey, and then you try to punch it out in school and you do all that.
Make that pitch, Petey.
Hey, the best meme I've ever seen was y'all ladies love Ryan Gosling, but he was an absolute liability at cornerback.
It's so true, man.
Awesome.
It is so true. Whiskey